Don't embarrass me, my sister whispered into the phone. Her voice had the sharp edge I'd heard my whole life. Jason works for Vision AI. They're worth billions. His coworkers will be at dinner tonight, and I need you to just blend in. Can you do that for once? I sat in my apartment looking out at the Seattle skyline, my coffee getting cold in my hand. Sure, Rachel, I can blend in. Good. And please, for the love of God, don't talk about your startup thing. Nobody wants to hear about another failed tech project. Jason's coworkers are actual professionals. I said nothing. What was there to say? Rachel had been my older sister for 32 years, and in all that time, she'd never once asked what I actually did for a living. She decided my story when I was 23 and working out of a garage, and that story had never changed in her mind, no matter how many times I tried to tell her otherwise. Emma, are you listening? I'm listening. 7 o'clock at Harbor View. I'll be there. And wear something nice. Not those jeans you always wear. Jason's VP of product development. His boss might even show up. These people matter. The call ended. I looked down at my phone, then at my laptop where 3 buyout offers sat in my inbox, each one over $800 million. I'd been taking calls from investment banks all week about our public offering timeline. Tomorrow I had a meeting with our main investors about expanding into the Asian market, a move that would push our value past $2 billion. But to Rachel, I was still the family disappointment playing with computers in a garage. I got to Harbor View at 6:55, on purpose, early. The restaurant was the kind of place where tech money met old money, where deals got made over expensive steaks and wine that cost more per bottle than most people's rent. I'd eaten here 24 times, usually with investors or board members. Tonight I was here as Rachel's charity case of a little sister. She spotted me right away, her face doing that thing it always did, a quick look at my outfit, a tiny frown, a tired sigh. I'd worn black pants and a silk blouse, but clearly it wasn't enough. You're here, she said, kissing the air beside my cheek. Jason's running a few minutes late. Big meeting, you understand? Of course. We sat at a table for 6. Rachel's hands were nervous, fixing her napkin, checking her phone, putting on more lipstick. I recognized the worry. She'd always cared so much about what people thought, about her place in whatever social order she'd built in her mind. So, she said, not quite meeting my eyes, how's the job search going? I'm not looking for a job. Right. Your startup, how's that going? Still just you and a couple of guys in a garage. I took a sip of water. Something like that. You know, it's not too late to get a real job. Jason says Vision is always hiring. Maybe something in marketing or operations. Entry level. But it's a foot in the door. That's kind of you to think of me. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. I'm serious, Emma. You're 30 years old. You can't keep playing entrepreneur forever. Mom and Dad are worried sick. Before I could answer, Jason arrived with 3 coworkers. He was exactly what I'd expected, confident, almost cocky, expensive suit. Handshake that lasted 2 seconds too long. His coworkers were similar, successful, self-assured, eager to talk about Vision's latest product launch. Everyone, Rachel said, her voice bright with pride. This is my sister Emma. Nice to meet you, I said, shaking hands. Emma's between things right now, Rachel continued, and I watched her build the story she needed, figuring out her next move. But I keep telling her, Vision's always hiring. The coworkers smiled politely. Jason launched into a story about their latest AI model, how they'd landed contracts with 3 Fortune 500 companies, how the company was on track to hit $1 billion in revenue next year. We're revolutionizing enterprise AI, he said, and I could hear the rehearsed talking points. Our CEO is brilliant. She's taking us public next year. This is the ground floor of something massive. That sounds exciting, I said. Throughout dinner, I listened. Jason talked about quarterly targets and product roadmaps. His coworkers discussed the competitive landscape, how they were beating out smaller startups, how the market was shrinking, how only the big players would survive. These tiny companies, one of them said, laughing, they think they can compete. It's cute, really. They don't understand enterprise sales. They don't have the infrastructure. Rachel glanced at me nervously, and I knew what she was thinking, that I was one of those cute doomed startups. I smiled and asked smart questions, playing the part she needed me to play. Jason's phone buzzed during dessert. He glanced at it, and his face shifted into something more serious. That's the CEO. Board meeting's been moved to Monday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. All executives required. On a Monday? One of his co-workers groaned. She doesn't mess around. If she calls a meeting, it's important. Jason turned to Rachel, squeezing her hand. Babe, I might need to prep all day Sunday. Of course, Rachel said. Whatever you need. As dinner wrapped up, Rachel walked me to the valet. Thank you for coming, she said. And for not, Not what? Not making it weird. Jason's coworkers are important. His career is really taking off. She paused. I know you don't understand this world, but appearances matter. The people you know, the impression you make, it all matters. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. She was 2 years older, but sometimes the gap felt like decades. I'm happy for you, Rachel. Jason seems nice. He is. He's going places, VP now, but his boss loves him. Could be C-suite in 2 years. She lowered her voice. That's the kind of stability you should want, Emma. Not this startup lottery ticket nonsense. The valet brought my car, a Tesla Model S, 3 years old, paid in cash. Rachel didn't comment on it. She never did. I think she'd convinced herself it was leased, or that I'd gotten some kind of deal. See you at Mom and Dad's next week? She asked. I'll be there. I drove home through streets I knew well, past the office buildings where I'd taken hundreds of meetings, past the coffee shops where I'd sketched out product ideas on napkins, past the garage where this had all started 7 years ago. 7 years. That's how long it had been since I'd left my job at Amazon to start TechVision AI. Yes, TechVision. The same company Jason worked for, the same company Rachel thought was too important for her disappointment of a sister to even understand. I'd founded it with 2 Stanford classmates when I was 23. We'd bootstrapped for 8 months, living on ramen and determination, before landing our first angel investment, then a seed round, then Series A, B, C. We'd grown from 3 people to 800. We'd gone from 1 product to a full enterprise suite. We'd gone from hoping to make rent to turning down buyout offers from Google and Oracle. And through it all, I'd never told my family, not because I was hiding it, because they'd never asked, because every time I tried to explain, they talked over me, changed the subject, or offered me career advice for jobs I didn't need. My father thought I did something with computers. My mother told her friends I was still figuring things out. Rachel had decided I was a failure, and no amount of evidence would change her mind. So I'd stopped trying. I'd learned to blend in, to nod along, to let them believe whatever made them comfortable. But Monday morning was going to be interesting. I spent Sunday preparing for the board meeting. We had serious decisions to make. Whether to accept the investment bank's public offering timeline, how to structure our Asian expansion, whether to buy 2 smaller competitors or let them fail on their own. I reviewed the presentation our finance chief had prepared. made notes on the numbers, and confirmed attendance with all board members. This wasn't just any meeting. We were discussing the future of a company that now employed 847 people and held contracts with 60% of the Fortune 100. My assistant had confirmed everyone's attendance, including the 6 new members of our leadership team who'd been hired in the past quarter. Jason Wong, VP of Product Development, had been with us for 3 months. His hiring had been my COO's call. Jason had come from Microsoft with strong credentials and a track record of successful product launches. I'd met him briefly during his final interview, but he'd been nervous, focused on the COO and technology chief. I'd asked 3 questions, nodded at his answers, and let my team make the final decision. We hired him a week later. He had no idea who I was. Why would he? I was just another person in the interview room, another face in the building. He'd never asked my name. He'd certainly never connected me to Rachel. And Rachel had never connected Jason's new job to her sister's startup thing. Monday morning arrived with typical Seattle rain. I dressed in my usual board meeting outfit. Tailored black suit, white silk blouse, minimal jewelry. My driver picked me up at 7:30, giving me time to review notes during the 30-minute ride to our headquarters in South Lake Union. The building was sleek glass and steel, 14 floors of it, with our logo across the top. TechVision AI in letters 6 feet tall. We'd moved here 2 years ago, upgrading from our previous space when headcount had hit 400. I took my private elevator to the 14th floor, where the executive offices and main boardroom were located. My assistant Jennifer was already at her desk. "Morning, Emma. Coffee's ready. The board's arriving at 8:45. Full attendance confirmed." "Including the new executives?" "All 6 confirmed." Jason Wang asked if he should prepare anything. I told him just to review the product roadmap slides. "Perfect. Thanks, Jennifer." I settled into my office, which took up the northwest corner with views of the Space Needle. The walls held my diplomas, BS and MS from Stanford, MBA from Harvard, several awards from industry organizations, a framed Tech Weekly cover from 2 years ago, the 30 Under 30 Revolutionizing AI, and photographs from our company's history, the original garage, our first office, the Series B celebration, the ribbon cutting for this building. At 8:50, I walked to the boardroom. Our board members were settling in. 2 venture capital partners who'd led our Series B, our finance chief, our technology chief, our lawyer, and 3 independent board members with expertise in enterprise software. The new executives sat together at one end of the long table, looking nervous. This was their first board meeting, their first real look at how decisions got made at this level. Jason was among them, talking quietly with our VP of sales. He wore a sharp navy suit and looked confident, though I could see the slight tension in his shoulders. I took my seat at the head of the table. Jennifer dimmed the lights slightly and pulled up the presentation on the large screen. "Good morning, everyone," I said. "Let's get started." I watched Jason's face as I spoke, watched the exact moment he realized who I was. His eyes went wide, his mouth opened slightly, the color drained from his face. Our technology chief, Marcus, leaned over and whispered something to him. I couldn't hear it, but I could imagine. That's our CEO, Emma Chen. Jason's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. He looked like he might be sick. I continued with the meeting agenda, professional and focused. "We're here to discuss 3 major items: the public offering timeline, Asian expansion, and potential acquisitions. Let's start with the financials." Our finance chief, Patricia, walked through the numbers. Revenue was up 340% year over year. We were profitable in 3 of our 4 divisions. Our cash reserves were strong. The investment banks were projecting a public offering valuation between $2.1 and $2.4 billion. We have a decision to make, Patricia said. Go public in Q2, which is aggressive but captures market momentum, or wait until Q4, which gives us time to strengthen our enterprise division numbers. The board members discussed the options. I listened, asked questions, pushed back on assumptions. This was the work I loved, the strategic thinking, the calculated risk-taking, the building of something that mattered. Jason hadn't said a word. He sat frozen, staring at me like I was a ghost. We moved to the Asian expansion proposal. Our VP of International Sales presented the plan. Offices in Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong, with a target of 200 Asian clients within 18 months. The investment is significant, I said, studying the numbers. $47 million over 2 years. Marcus, is our technology ready for Asian data compliance requirements? We've been working on regional compliance for 6 months, our technology chief replied. We're ready. Then I'm in favor. Board? 6. Hands went up. The motion carried. Finally, we discussed acquisitions. 2 smaller AI companies were struggling, both with technology that worked well with ours. We could buy them for a combined $140 million, our lawyer said, or we could wait for them to fail and hire their engineers for much less. What's the ethical play? I asked. The room went quiet. This was something I'd learned from my mentor at Amazon. Profit mattered, but so did how you made it. The ethical play is to buy them, Patricia said slowly. Keep their teams together, preserve their technology, honor their vision, even if it costs more. Then that's what we do. Draft the offers. Be generous with the founders. They built something valuable, even if the market didn't work out. The meeting continued for another hour. We discussed product roadmaps, competitive threats, talent acquisition. Jason's team presented updates on the new AI model they'd been developing. It was solid work, I noted. He might be personally a disaster, but he wasn't bad at his job. As the meeting ended, people gathered their materials and headed out. The new executives grouped together, clearly overwhelmed by their first board meeting. Jason approached me slowly, like he was walking toward a firing squad. Ms. Chen, he said, his voice barely steady. I didn't realize that I was the CEO. I kept my voice neutral. Most people don't unless they read tech news. You've been doing good work, Jason. The new model launch is ahead of schedule. Thank you. He swallowed hard. I met your sister, Rachel. I know. She's mentioned you. She never said, she told me you were between jobs, figuring things out. I smiled slightly. Rachel has her own story. I don't correct her. But you founded this company. You built all of this. With a lot of help. We're a team here. He looked like he wanted to say more, but Marcus called him over to discuss the product roadmap. Jason glanced back at me once, then walked away. His shoulders slumped. I returned to my office and pulled out my phone. 15 missed calls from a number I recognized, Rachel's cell. There were also 12 text messages. Call me now. Emma, what the hell? Jason said you're the CEO of Tech Vision. Why didn't you tell me? Mom and Dad are going to freak out. This is so embarrassing. You made me look like an idiot. How could you let me talk about Jason's job when you own the company? Everyone at dinner is going to think I'm insane. Answer your phone. I can't believe you did this to me. Call me immediately. I set the phone down and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, Rachel was having a meltdown. Jason was probably rethinking his relationship. My parents would hear about this soon if they hadn't already. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just a quiet, distant sadness. Jennifer knocked on my door. "Your 11 o'clock is here. The investment banking team." "Thanks, I'll be right there." I stood up, straightened my jacket, and prepared for the next meeting. There was work to do, a public offering to plan, a company to build, hundreds of employees counting on us to make the right decisions. My phone buzzed again. Rachel calling for the 16th time. I turned it off and went to meet with the bankers. The rest of Monday was meetings. The banking team was eager, almost pushy, about speeding up our public offering timeline. They saw an opening in the market. Tech stocks were hot. AI was the next big thing, and our numbers were exceptional. "Quarter 2 is aggressive but doable, officer," their lead banker said. "Your story is compelling. Female founder, Stanford background. Built this from nothing. Investors will love it." "I don't want to sell a story," I replied. "I want to sell a sustainable business." It's the same thing in the market's eyes. We argued about valuations, timing, risk factors. By the time they left at 4, I had a headache forming. Jennifer appeared in my doorway. "You have 17 calls from your sister, and your mother called the main line 3 times. She said, and I quote, 'Tell Emma that family is more important than some meeting.'" I rubbed my temples. "What did you tell her?" "That you were in meetings with investment banks about our public offering and would call her when available." And her response? She asked what a public offering was. I explained. Then she got quiet and hung up. I almost smiled. "Thanks, Jennifer. Also, Jason Wang requested a meeting with you. He seemed upset." "Tomorrow. Put him down for 2 p.m. That evening, I drove to my apartment in Capitol Hill, a 2-bedroom place I'd bought 3 years ago when the company's 3rd funding round had closed. It was nice, but not flashy. The kind of place a successful professional might own, not a CEO about to take a company public. I poured a glass of wine and finally turned on my phone. 43 missed calls, 37 text messages, 6 voicemails. I started with the voicemails. The first was Rachel, her voice high and stressed. "Emma, what the actual hell? Jason came home and said you're the CEO of his company. How is that even possible? Call me back right now." The second was my mother. "Emma, Rachel just told us you run some computer company. Is this true? Why wouldn't you tell us? Your father wants to know if this is some kind of joke." The third was Rachel again, crying. "You let me introduce you as between jobs. You let Jason talk about his important job. Everyone thinks I'm a complete idiot. How could you do this to me?" The fourth was my father. "Emma, your mother and I are very confused. Rachel says you're quite successful, but we don't understand why you've been lying to us. Please call us and explain what's going on." The fifth was Jason, his voice carefully controlled. "Ms. Chen, this is Jason. I wanted to apologize for anything inappropriate I may have said at dinner Friday. I had no idea about your relationship to Rachel or your position at the company. I hope this won't affect my employment. Please call me." The sixth was Rachel again, angry now. "You know what? This is typical. Everything always has to be about you. You couldn't just let me have this one thing. You had to be the CEO of Jason's company. You're so selfish, Emma. Don't bother calling me back." I deleted all 6 and scrolled through the texts. They followed the same pattern: shock, embarrassment, anger, confusion. My mother: "Why didn't you tell us you were successful? We're your parents." My father: "I don't understand why you would hide this. We thought you were struggling." Rachel: "Everyone from dinner knows now. Jason's boss called him. They're all talking about it. This is the most humiliating thing that's ever happened to me." And then, buried among the angry messages, one from Rachel sent at 9:47. "Jason's boss wants to meet me. He said he didn't know the CEO was my sister. He called me Miss Chen, like I'm important because of you. This is so backwards. I'm supposed to be the successful one. There was the heart of it. I was supposed to be the failure. That was the role I'd been given in our family story. Rachel was the successful older sister with a good job and the impressive boyfriend. I was the little sister who couldn't get her life together. Except none of it was true. And now the story had collapsed, and everyone was scrambling to write a new one. I didn't call anyone back. Not that night. Instead, I opened my laptop and reviewed the presentation for tomorrow's executive team meeting. We had deadlines to hit, features to ship, clients to serve. The drama of my personal life was exactly that, personal. It had no place in the boardroom. Tuesday morning, I got to the office at 7. The executive team meeting was at 8:30, followed by Jason's one-on-one at 2. The executive meeting went smoothly. We discussed hiring targets, budget allocations, and the upcoming all hands where we'd announce the public offering timeline. Jason was professional, participated appropriately, and avoided making eye contact with me. Afterward, Marcus pulled me aside. Jason's freaking out. He thinks you're going to fire him. Why would I fire him? His numbers are good. Because he's dating your sister and apparently said some dumb things at a dinner party. That's not a fireable offense. You should probably tell him that before he has a breakdown in the bathroom. 3rd time this morning. I sighed. I'll talk to him at 2. Jason arrived for his one-on-one exactly on time, looking like he hadn't slept. He sat across from my desk, hands clasped tightly in his lap. Thank you for seeing me, Miss Chen. Emma is fine when it's just us, and you're not fired if that's what you're worried about. His shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. I was concerned that the situation with Rachel might. Your relationship with my sister is your business. Your performance here is what I care about, and your performance has been excellent. The new AI model is ahead of schedule and under budget. You're doing exactly what we hired you to do. I appreciate that, but I feel I should apologize for Friday night. The things I said about startups, about competition. You didn't know who I was, and honestly, you weren't wrong. Most startups do fail. We just happen not to. He relaxed slightly. Rachel is very upset. She feels embarrassed. I understand. She wants to know why you never told her, or your parents. He paused. If I'm being honest, I'd like to know too. This is a billion-dollar company. You're about to go public. How does your family not know? I considered how much to share. Jason was my employee, but he was also dating my sister. Whatever I said would likely get back to her. They never asked, I said finally. I tried to tell them in the beginning, but my father would change the subject. My mother would offer career advice. Rachel decided I was a failure and nothing I said could change her mind. After a while, I stopped trying. But surely when the company got bigger, Jason, what does Rachel tell you about me? He shifted uncomfortably. That you're figuring things out, that you've had some career struggles, that she worries about you. And in 3 months of dating her, did you ever ask my name? He went pale. No, I didn't. Did you ask what company I worked for, what I studied in school, anything specific about my life? She said you didn't like to talk about it. She said that because she doesn't want to hear the answer. Because if she knew the truth, she'd have to rewrite the story she's been telling herself for 10 years. And that story is important to her. Jason was quiet for a long moment. She called me this morning. She's angry that I brought you into her workplace. She doesn't understand why I didn't tell her you were my CEO. What did you say? That I didn't know. That you were just Emma to me, another person in the building. He rubbed his face. She accused me of choosing you over her. And what did you say to that? That she was being irrational, that you're my boss and I'm grateful to have this job, that her feelings about you don't change my professional obligations. He met my eyes. She didn't like that answer. I imagine not. She wants me to quit. The words hung in the air between us. And are you going to? I asked. No, he said firmly. This is the best opportunity of my career. I left Microsoft specifically for this role. And he hesitated. I'm starting to see some things about Rachel that concern me. I said nothing, just waited. She's very focused on status, on appearances, on being better than other people. He shook his head. I thought it was just ambition. But after this weekend, I don't know. The way she talks about you, the way she's more upset about being embarrassed than about having completely misunderstood her sister's life, it's not. Not what you signed up for? Yeah. I stood and walked to the window. 14 floors below, people moved through their lives, walking to meetings, grabbing coffee, checking their phones, ordinary people doing ordinary things. My advice as your CEO: don't make career decisions based on personal relationships. This job is good for you. Stay. And your advice as Rachel's sister? I'm probably not the right person to ask. I turned back to him. But for what it's worth, my sister is terrified of being ordinary. She spent her whole life trying to prove she's special, important, better than everyone else. That's why she needs you to be impressive. That's why she needs me to be a failure. It's all part of the story that makes her the hero. Jason nodded slowly. What happens now? You keep doing your job. I keep doing mine. Rachel decides whether she can handle the truth, that her little sister is successful. I returned to my desk. Is there anything else work-related we need to discuss? No. Thank you, Emma. After he left, I finally called my mother. She answered on the first ring. Emma? Hi, Mom. You have some explaining to do, young lady. I almost laughed at being called young lady when I was 30 years old and about to take a company public. What would you like to know? For starters, why your father and I had to learn from Rachel that you're apparently some kind of executive running $1 billion company. I'm the CEO and founder. We're valued at approximately $2.2 billion, pending our public offering. Silence. Then, your father wants to talk to you. Hold on. Muffled sounds of the phone being passed. Emma, this is your father. Hi, Dad. Your mother and I are very confused. We thought you were working on a small startup, some kind of computer project. It was a small startup, 7 years ago. We grew. Why didn't you tell us? I tried. You asked me once what I did, and I said I founded an AI company. You said, that's nice, and asked if I'd seen your golf clubs. I don't remember that. I do. It was at Christmas 4 years ago. I tried to explain that we just closed a $50 million funding round. You interrupted to tell me about Rachel's promotion at work. Another silence. Emma, we're your parents. We should have known. Should you have? When was the last time you asked me a specific question about my work, my life, anything beyond, how are you? We ask about you all the time. You ask Rachel about me. You ask if I've gotten my life together. You ask when I'll find a real job. But you've never actually asked me what I do. I heard my mother's voice in the background. Let me talk to her. The phone changed hands again. Emma, we're trying to understand. Why would you hide something like this? I didn't hide it, Mom. I just stopped trying to force you to see it. You decided who I was 10 years ago, and nothing I said would change your mind. That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time you've introduced me to someone without apologizing for me first, without saying I'm still figuring things out or going through a phase? We were trying to be supportive. Were you? Or were you trying to keep the story where Rachel is a successful one and I'm the struggling one? We thought. My mother's voice went cold. You're being very cruel right now. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Rachel is devastated. She says you humiliated her in front of Jason's coworkers. I sat at a dinner and listened to Jason talk about his job at a company I founded, while Rachel introduced me as between jobs. How exactly did I humiliate her? You should have told her who you were. She never asked. In 30 years, Mom, she has never once asked me a single real question about my life. She decided I was a failure, and she needed me to stay that way so she could feel superior. That's a horrible thing to say about your sister. It's the truth, and you enabled it. Both of you did. You praised her for getting a middle management job at a regional bank while I was raising $100 million in funding. You bragged about her $80,000 salary while I was turning down buyout offers for $400 million. You believed her story because it was easier than seeing me. I heard my father's voice again, muffled. What's she saying? She's saying we failed her, my mother said, and her voice cracked. That we didn't see who she really was. Because you didn't want to, I said softly. It was easier to have one successful daughter and one struggling daughter. It was a simpler story. Emma, my mother was crying now. We didn't mean, we thought. I know, but intention doesn't erase impact. What do we do now? I don't know, Mom. That's up to you. I ended the call and sat in the silence of my office. Through the glass walls, I could see my team working. Engineers fixing bugs, product managers in intense discussions, salespeople on calls with clients. These people knew who I was. They saw me clearly. My family never had. Jennifer knocked. Your 3 o'clock is here. The Tech Weekly interview about the public offering announcement. Give me 5 minutes. I pulled up my email and found a draft I'd been working on for weeks. A message to our entire company about the public offering, about what we'd built together, about the journey ahead. I added a new paragraph. Many of you know that I'm a private person. I don't do much press. I don't share details of my life outside these walls. That's because this company is built on substance, not stories, on results, not reputation, on the work we do together, not on who we are individually. But I want you to know this. Every single person in this company matters, not because of your title or your salary or how impressive you sound at a dinner party, but because of the work you do, the problems you solve, the value you create. Never let anyone make you feel small for choosing substance over story. I sent it to all 847 employees. Then I straightened my jacket, checked my reflection in the window, and went to talk to Tech Weekly about taking a $2.2 billion company public. The interview lasted an hour. The reporter was sharp, asking about our competitive advantages, our path to profit, our vision for the future of enterprise AI. She asked if it was hard being a female CEO in a male-dominated industry. It's hard being any CEO, I said. The gender part is just one more thing to manage. Do you have advice for women in tech who face doubt or dismissal? I thought about Rachel, about my parents, about every dinner party where I'd been introduced as a disappointment. Keep building, I said. Let your work speak louder than anyone's doubts. And remember that their inability to see you is their limitation, not yours. The article went live Wednesday morning. By noon, it had 50,000 shares. My phone, which I'd kept off since Tuesday, showed 127 missed calls when I finally turned it on, Wednesday evening. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize. Journalists, probably, or recruiters, or people who'd suddenly discovered we were connected on LinkedIn. But 15 were from Rachel. I listened to the most recent voicemail. Her voice was different now, smaller. Emma, I read the Tech Weekly article. I saw the photos of you in the office. I didn't know. I mean, I knew you were smart, but I didn't understand. A long pause. Jason broke up with me. He said I don't actually see people. I just see status symbols. He said I treated you like a status symbol too. A negative one, but still. She laughed, but it sounded broken. I don't know what to do with that, with any of this. Another pause. Mom and Dad are freaking out. They keep asking how they didn't know. And I realized I didn't know either because I never asked. I never wanted to know. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I'm sorry, Emma. I don't know if that means anything to you, but I'm sorry. I saved the voicemail, but didn't call her back. Not yet. Thursday, we held the all-hands meeting to announce the public offering. 847 employees packed into our largest conference room and the overflow spaces. I stood on the small stage and told them what we'd built together. 7 years ago, we were 3 people in a garage. Today, we're going public, but the number doesn't matter. Not the valuation, not the stock price, not any of it. What matters is that we built something real, something that solves actual problems for actual people, and we did it together. The applause was loud, overwhelming. Afterward, Jason approached me. That was a good speech. Thanks. How are you doing? Better. I talked to my therapist about the Rachel situation. Apparently, I have some patterns to work on. He smiled wryly. But I'm grateful for this job, for the clarity it's given me about what matters. I'm glad you're staying. Me too. Friday afternoon, I finally called Rachel. Emma, she said, and I could hear she'd been crying. I got your voicemail. All 15 of them? Just the last one. Silence then. I've been thinking a lot this week about what kind of sister I've been. What kind of person? Her voice wavered. Jason was right. I don't see people. I see categories, status, where people fit in the order I've built in my head. I know. You were supposed to be the struggling one, the one who made me look good by comparison. And when that turned out to be completely false, I didn't know how to handle it. Rachel, let me finish, please. She took a shaky breath. I've spent this whole week being angry at you, for embarrassing me, for not telling me, for letting me look like an idiot. But the truth is I'm the one who made myself look like an idiot by never caring enough to actually know you. I walked to my office window, looking out at the city lights. I read every article about you I could find, Rachel continued. Tech Weekly, Business News, the Wall Street Journal profile from last year. And I kept thinking, this is my sister, my little sister, and I don't know her at all. No, I said quietly. You don't. Can I? Her voice was so small. Can I get to know you? The real you? I don't know, Rachel. Can you handle it if the real me doesn't fit into your order? If I don't make you look good by comparison? That's fair. That's more than fair. She laughed sadly. God, I'm such a mess. Jason's gone. Mom and Dad are having some kind of crisis about their parenting. And I'm realizing that I built my entire identity around being better than you. And now that's gone, and I don't know who I am. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe. Pause. The truth is I'm proud of you. I should have said that first. I'm proud of you and impressed and kind of in awe. You built something incredible, and you did it while we all dismissed you. That takes. I can't even imagine how strong you had to be. Tears stung my eyes. Thank you. Will you have coffee with me sometime when you're not busy taking over the world? I'd like that. Really? Really. But Rachel, if we do this, if we try to build an actual relationship, it has to be real, no performances, no status games, just 2 sisters trying to actually know each other. I can try, I want to try. Then let's try. We set a date for the following Tuesday. After I hung up, I sat in the growing darkness of my office and let myself cry for the years of being invisible, for the sister I'd never really had, for the possibility that maybe, finally, we could start again. Monday morning, the public offering paperwork was filed. By Wednesday, we'd set a date, June 15th. By Friday, the investment banks were projecting we'd open at 2.4 billion. None of it felt as important as the coffee I had with Rachel on Tuesday. We met at a small place in Fremont, far from both our offices. She was already there when I arrived, looking nervous and tired and more real than I'd ever seen her. "Hi," she said. "Hi." We ordered coffee. For a moment, we just sat there, two strangers who happened to share DNA and a childhood. "I don't know where to start," Rachel said finally. "Tell me about your job, your actual job, not the impressive sounding version. What do you do every day?" She blinked, surprised. "I manage a team of 5 people in commercial lending. We process loan applications for small businesses. Honestly, it's kind of boring, but I'm good at it." "That sounds valuable. Small businesses need financing." "It is valuable, but it's not. I'm not a VP. I'm not changing the world. I'm just doing a job." "Most people are just doing a job. There's no shame in that." "I know, but I spent so long pretending it was more than it was, pretending I was more than I was." She met my eyes. "Because I was scared that if I wasn't more, I was nothing." "You're not nothing, Rachel. You never were." "Then why did I need you to be less? Why did I need you to fail?" "Because you learned that love is conditional, that our parents' approval depends on achievement, that you have to earn your place in the family order." I stirred my coffee. "We both learned that. I just responded differently." "How? How did you keep building when everyone around you said you'd fail?" "I found people who saw me, my co-founders, our early investors, the team we built. They saw me clearly, so it mattered less that you didn't." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "I want to see you clearly. I want to be someone who sees people clearly." "Then start by seeing yourself clearly. Not the version you think you should be, the actual person you are." We talked for 2 hours about her real job and my real job, about her breakup with Jason and what she'd learned from it, about our parents and the ways they'd failed us both, about the possibility of something different. As we were leaving, Rachel hugged me, really hugged me, not the air kiss performance from before. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me a chance. Thank you for asking for one." June 15th arrived warm and clear. I stood on the floor of the stock exchange with my co-founders, watching our stock price climb. We opened at $54 per share, valuing the company at $2.6 billion. My parents were there, looking proud and confused and trying to understand the daughter they'd never really known. Rachel was there too, standing off to the side, clapping when the bell rang, taking photos for her Instagram with the caption, "My sister is a badass." No qualifications, no explanations, just truth. After the ceremony, as we celebrated with champagne and congratulations, Rachel pulled me aside. "I know this is your day, your moment, but I wanted to tell you I started therapy to work on the status thing, the comparison thing, all of it. I'm proud of you for that. And I'm proud of you for this." She gestured at the celebration around us. "For all of this. For building something real while I was busy building something fake. Your life isn't fake, Rachel. It's just been hiding behind a story." "Well, I'm done with that story. I want a real one." She smiled, and it was genuine. "Starting with having a sister who actually knows me and who I actually know." "I'd like that." We stood together and watched the stock ticker, 2 sisters, finally seeing each other clearly. The company continued to grow. We expanded into Asia, bought those 2 startups, launched 3 new products. By the end of the year, we employed over 1,000 people. But the thing I was most proud of wasn't the stock price or the revenue or the awards. It was the coffee dates with Rachel every Tuesday, the phone calls with my parents where they asked real questions and listened to real answers, the slow, difficult work of building actual relationships instead of performed ones. Jason stayed at the company and ended up being one of our best executives. He started dating someone from our legal team, someone who saw him clearly and liked what she saw. Me? I kept building, kept leading, kept choosing substance over story, because at the end of the day, that's all any of us can do. Build something real, see people clearly, let ourselves be seen. The rest is just noise. Which character did you connect with most in this story? Was it Emma, Rachel, or someone else who left the strongest impression on you? Leave a comment and let me know what part stayed with you the most.